when you're 90, you're not gonna look like how you used to look. You're not gonna have a big butt. You're not gonna have them big old breasts or whatever. You're not gonna have that six pack, them big old arms. Like, it's gonna fade eventually. So if that's all you're putting stock into when you're trying to like meet people or pick people or value people, then you're gonna be let down.
Turning nothing to something, get in the back like the map with instructions. No, we not doing dysfunction. Talented black, no, we be on our functions. Ain't no need for introduction. You, my friend, take a seat and discuss it.
Welcome back to Discussions with a Friend. It's your boy Jimmy G.
Yo, it's your boy Rod.
And we are back with another episode. Today's episode, we're going to talk about beauty standards.
Yeah.
Take a drink to that. But before we get into all that, of course, we're going to start with our favorite segment, That's Unnecessary. So the first thing I saw, it was on TikTok, I believe, was there, I believe it took place in New York. And there was this girl, she was holding this giant hot dog or corn dog, which, they're going to be on Guinness World Records, right?
Glizzy.
And that word's been tossed around a lot. But she was feeding it to this dude who was eating it. In my opinion, that's unnecessary.
Let's tell y'all.
Like,
as a man, why you letting that happen?
Like, it's one thing, like, if he was eating it by himself, like, just off the strength of his own hand, but you letting a girl feed it to you, that's unnecessary. That don't help your case at all.
At all. Leading into that we might as well talk about the Glizzy Gladiator himself. That man, Joey Chestnut, his entire profession. That's unnecessary. I'm sorry. His entire profession, this man be eating hot dogs. I don't even know how many he ate, but this man was on ESPN. He like 11-time.
I thought it was more than that.
He like some, bro.
Some in the double. I thought it was like 14.
I mean, 11's in the double digits.
He the Tom Brady of glizzies.
Bro, he is.
Yeah.
Jordan of glizzies. He better than them. Honestly, we want to keep it above. Like, he do this. This man got a Raising Cane's contract. I don't even know how. Like, I guess he just eats more than glizzies, but he's known as the Glizzy Gladiator, Joey Chestnut.
But did you see him hem somebody up, though?
Yeah, he definitely did. He...
Never seen a man do nothing like that, but my thing is,
Gladiator.
What does he do besides eat glizzies? Like, he shows up for this one day out the year. It is the 4th of July. And then what does he do for the rest? Does he train?
He be training by eating. I guess he eats more than just glizzies because he got the Cane's deal. But I don't know. That's so disgusting, bro. I don't even want to think about that, bro.
And there's a female one too, but this is gonna be a side joke. So Joe Biden just caught COVID for the second time. Now, that's not funny at all, but I feel like at this point, life just hitting him with that. Oh, you want a second term? You haven't seen those polls lately? That's unnecessary. Your popularity's not up there, Chief. Therefore, that's unnecessary.
COVID, hey. Yeah, I mean, look, I had made a YouTube video about that. Why do we keep electing these old presidents, bro? It just don't make sense to me. They have one foot in the grave. Let's keep it 2 billion. Like, I just don't understand. Like, I get it with wisdom, age, it comes experience, wisdom. I understand that. But at a certain point in time, it begins to deteriorate. That's why this man in this mug reading the teleprompter talking about repeat the line. Like, come on, folks.
No way.
Yeah.
He said...
Yes, bro. Like, literally, like...
That's unnecessary.
It's not a good look, but hey, America.
I hope he gets well.
Yeah, I hope he good, though. I hope he good.
Because literally, he just got out of quarantine just to go back in. That's got to be tough.
But what else is unnecessary is... So I was at GNC the other day, and I was, the parking lots, how it has, like, the arrows? So I was literally, like, going up the arrow, getting ready to make a left turn, and there was a lady flying through, like, just, where all the stores at, flying. And she gave me a stare down. Shorty stared at me like she just tomahawked me. Like she just chased down, blocked my stuff or something. And she was talking with a sheep. Huh?
She was hitting you with them Chinese kung fu flicks. They be like,
on me.
I will defeat you.
You would have thought she was Sue Bird or somebody. The way she just stared at me, what's to her? It's all good though. You won't be here much longer.
I see what you did there.
Hey, that's unnecessary. Maybe that was unnecessary of me to say, but hey.
But I see what you did with the Sue Bird, because their team's in Seattle Storm.
I wasn't even thinking about that to keep it a buck, but
so I see what you did there.
I
Odd
just
to
said
Seattle.
She's a GOAT.
One of the greatest for the women out there. Name
She's
5
a GOAT.
WNBA players.
And actually, she just had a stat. She's one of 3 people to score 30 points at 40 years old.
Really?
It was her, Jordan, and Kobe, I think. No, not Kobe. It was one other person. But yeah, she's one of 3 people. I'll put up the statistic here.
I was gonna say if it's 1 of 3, obviously LeBron would be out there, but
Nah, he's not 40.
oh fuck it. Sorry, I missed it.
Yeah, that's why I was like,
But Kobe wasn't 40.
That's why I said not Kobe.
Okay.
It's her, Jordan, and I can't remember the other person, but it was literally a stat.
But so the first subtopic of this, we're gonna dive deep into health versus fitness. So a lot of times we go based off of what we see, but one of the main statements that is good to keep in mind is that looks can be deceiving. Just because something looks good doesn't mean that it is good.
Right.
And that's definitely prevalent within this day and age with social media and fitness and all that. We think that, oh, they got the nice little body, so they must be doing everything right. But once you get down into the thick of it, you realize that's not always the case. But I'm going to have you lead off the discussion.
For sure. But you said it, yeah, looks can be deceiving. You see somebody and, they might be skinny. They might even be, lean, and they have they might be a little bit like cut up with veins and all this stuff, a 6-pack, all the nice aesthetic stuff that, signifies that you're in shape or whatever, which I'm not taking that away from them. Right. But at the same time, what are your eating habits like? Those, some people are those people that eat, whatever they want, eating bad food, fast food all the time. Mm-hmm. They might not be getting the sleep that they should be getting, Mm-hmm. They be running on, minimal sleep, 3-4 hours of sleep. And then, those are the people that partake in drugs and stuff. Not to say that, nobody else does, but I'm just saying looks can be deceiving. You might see a fit person on the outside, but their habits and their practices are unhealthy. Mm-hmm. And all that's going to do is lead to an unhealthy lifestyle somewhere along the line in your life. Because the thing is, you get to talking about metabolisms. Those are the people that typically have higher metabolisms, one would say. And that's what I used to always hear, when you were younger, like before you really knew much about fitness and how the body works and all that stuff. Everybody, I just have a high metabolism. I can eat whatever I want. Yes, definitely. Because you're younger and your body is, much more spry and able to fight off those things and work through those things. Especially too, those are the people that typically are athletic, so they were doing a lot of sports, they were doing a lot of exercise. And as you get older, now this doesn't apply to everyone, but you begin to live a more sedentary lifestyle. Yeah. So if you're living a more sedentary lifestyle, but you're still partaking in the same practices when you were once more active, it's going to catch up with your metabolism at some point in time. Right. And I've seen it in just a couple people I know that they were always super skinny, and it's like now that's when you see those the people that are skinnier but they have a gut now, or the people that were skinnier and you can see it in their face, mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that that's bad, because gaining weight isn't necessarily bad, but if you're not able to pinpoint how you're gaining the weight and you're not, aware of that, then it can be bad. So basically, it's just about the practices that you're partaking in. So just healthy, eating habits, sleeping habits, your abuse of, drugs, alcohol, smoking. All of that is a factor. Nobody's invincible. I don't care who you are. I don't care what body fat percentage you might have. And that's something that's really misleading too. And I know you wanted to speak about the body fat stuff.
Yeah, the BMI index I believe is misleading because it has like its own scale as far as your height and your weight. And based on those factors and where you measure, sometimes it has you saying that you're overweight, but you could look completely normal.
Right.
And if we go off those scales, a lot of bodybuilders or people who are naturally fit would be overweight because they have way more weight on them than like your typical normal one. So like say for instance a bodybuilder who's like 5'4", 230. Now of course because normally that amount of weight on a shorter person is gonna look more stocky.
Right.
But in essence they're putting in work, so their 230 looks a lot different than like a normal person's 230.
Right.
So does that mean they're overweight? First, it could be misleading.
It could be misleading. And then the same thing with that, when you're talking about body fat percentage, because, everybody thinks that, and I'm not saying that when you have a low body fat percentage that you're necessarily unhealthy or it's bad, but I don't think that's very sustainable. And that's what people need to realize. If you're literally just going off of body fat percentage and you think, oh, I have sub 10% body fat percentage, what do you think you have to do to maintain that? That's why, bodybuilding, they actually know what they're doing. They're not going to be at sub 10% body fat year round because it's not sustainable for most people.
Yep.
And that's the thing. Genetics has a lot to do with how sustainable that is, because there's people that can do their daily functions and year round be under 10% body fat, be 6%, 5% body fat. But that's because that's what their genetics allows them to do, what their practices allows them to do. You can't think that works for you. Fitness isn't a one size fit all. Yep. It's really about you finding what works for you. And then you get into body types. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Somatotypes is a concept created by William H. Sheldon in the 1940s and has been used by physicians and dietitians ever since. The three body types include ectomorphs, endomorphs, and mesomorphs. A person can be classified into one of these categories, but can show some characteristics for another. The first somatotype to be informed about would be the ectomorphs. These are considered to be long and lean people with little to no body fat. These are the people who have trouble gaining weight no matter how much they eat. The next body style would be endomorphs. These people are able to gain a lot of body fat along with muscle very easily. These people tend to gain weight effortlessly, but do not necessarily mean they're overweight. They do have a larger amount of body fat, which creates them more susceptible to lifestyle-related diseases. The last body type would be mesomorphs. These are athletic, solid people who also tend to be strong. This type of person can eat what they want without worrying too much about it. They gain and lose weight without much effort. These types of people have high metabolism that is constantly working. These body types are not set in stone. A person could have characteristics of one or more of these body types. The best way to find out for yourself is by applying some of the diet and training regimens for each of the body types and see what that program does for you.
All those things going to factor when you're talking about that. And that's why people, when they say that they lose weight or they get into fitness, everybody says it's a lifestyle change because it really is. It's not just one thing. And I learned that the hard way, because I would say that I would have what they call body dysmorphia. And I felt like I've had that for a while because when I was younger, like I played sports and stuff, but like I said in a previous podcast, I didn't start playing sports and all that till kind of like, maybe like almost middle school, like fourth, fifth grade, really. So I was one of those kids, I was playing the game and whatnot. But I would look at people like when I got into sports, I'd be like, oh, like, they got the six pack, like, I have like decent sized arms, so I was like, I just lived off that, but I never really had the body. So I used to think like, oh, I'm probably like, I'm fat, and I wasn't fat. I was a kid for one, so like that's baby fat. And then on top of that, I was never really huge. So I used to think, oh, like I can never get a six pack or I can never be healthy. I can never look like that. And it took me a long time. Like, I'm just now kind of getting to the point where I've like learned my body and I've corrected some habits to actually see some realistic results as far as my body goes. But because I've lost probably 40 or 50 pounds since I like started seriously like training and trying to eat right. And that's not to say throughout that whole entire process that I was doing it right. Because I'll tell you, just right now, up until like maybe this year, I've just now got my eating like under control and some other things. I'm not gonna go too much into detail, but it takes a while to get to that point. And the thing is, when you get to that point, having body dysmorphia, you still see the other person in the mirror.
Yeah.
You still see that. You still feel that way. Even with people saying, "Oh, you look good," or getting compliments and whatnot, like you still feel like that person. And so I just feel like, and this is gonna lead probably into our next topic, but I'm gonna let you, speak on, a couple things before that. But I feel like as a man, things like that aren't talked about. Body dysmorphia, anorexia, all those different type of disorders, I don't really think they're necessarily as acceptable as a man, because you have other things that you probably should worry about or you could rely on versus a woman. Yes, they're probably going to get shamed for those things, but with that shame comes awareness, and then it also comes support. So that's just my 2 cents on it.
I don't know if acceptable is the word. I feel like it's more like as recognized, because like when people think of those disorders, it usually pertains to women, but more so for those who are like in like fitness, but more so model industry. Like it's really linked to people with those body types.
Right.
But we're gonna dive deep into that one with the next topic. Obviously, congratulations with the 40-50 pounds loss.
I appreciate you, bro.
I was there with you. I'm like, oh, this man's swole as heck, and then come to find out he was like, nah, I wasn't even at my best right there.
And that's funny because I remember saying that. I remember I had told y'all like I'm finna get lean in college, and I kind of got leaner, but even then, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's trial and error.
Right.
Like
I was seeing that like senior year.
Yeah.
Like, it was definitely making strides towards it. You were still like big, but you definitely. But once you got to Texas, that's when you really like took off.
Yeah.
I remember you posted a pic. I'm like, I showed Billy pointed it out. I was like, hey, your boy Rod getting lean. I said, yeah. I was there when he told me he was gonna do that.
Yeah.
But I would have to say that I experienced probably body dysmorphia in my dysmorphia in my own way, and mine was for 2 reasons. For one, I was that guy who was obviously of a leaner build. I've been like that my whole life. You could dang even say I was frail, like in elementary school. Like I didn't have really no type of muscle like I do now. So I remember when I had a 6-pack, I used to think, oh yeah, that was cool. But then people would come up to me and be like, man, you only got that because you skinny. And like when I look back at it, that was kind of true. Like, because I really wasn't doing no work to gain it. I just had it because I was skinny.
Genetics.
And then as I was growing into my body more and playing sports, I remember people picking on me, calling me bird chest and all that. So that's something that I had to carry every time I looked in the mirror. And that's even something now when I look at it where people look at me saying, oh no, you good, you lean. But like every time I look in the mirror, I know that yes, I have made strides and made gains, but I know that I'm not where I want to be.
Right.
So it's like I'm looking in the mirror, constantly challenging myself. Like, okay, you got this, but how much farther can we go? Because I gotta look, I'm like, yeah, my chest and all that has made strides, but it's not where I want it to be. So that's something that was a great point that you brought up, where even when you're making these strides and making these gains, you still got that other person kind of like talking to you saying, no, you ain't about that.
Right.
You haven't made those strides. You finna fall back into your old ways.
Right.
And that's prevalent to really anything, but it's especially prevalent and important to understand with fitness, because just as quick as you could gain it all, you could lose it all if you're not on your P's and Q's. Yep. And I think pretty much the overarching theme of it is you have to know yourself and know who you are. Because the sooner and more work you do into learning about yourself, the easier this stuff becomes. Because going off of what you see others do, you don't know the work that they had to do to go into that. So Rob brought up a great point with the genetics. Like, if you know your genetics, you can know what type of work needs to be done for you to get those gains. Right. So like with the body types, if you know that you're a hard gainer, you need to know what type of workouts and what type of eating habits you need to do that'll help make it a little easier.
Right.
Because I know there's this one girl who I follow on Instagram. She does fitness or whatever. And she was talking about how a lot of girls, when they do fitness, a lot of them get into cardio. Or just in general, a lot of people get into cardio, which cardio is very good and it's something that you should do. But if your main goal is to gain mass, cardio is not the workout for you to do. The only type you need to do.
Not the only type.
You need to do some type of resistance training if you want to gain mass. Now, it's not to say that you need to exclude that, because you still need to help your heart. Your heart is what pumps the blood that gets to your muscles.
Yep, cardio is great for the heart.
But, go ahead.
No, I was going to say cardio is great for the heart. That's all.
So you just need to really know yourself, so that way everything that you have, all these eating habits, sleeping habits, fitness habits, can be all into one and coexist well.
And speaking on the genetics thing, I'm glad you said that. That's going to lead really into the next topic. But I just wanted to say, when you're looking at somebody that probably has great genetics, and they might not be putting in all the work that you think they are. And that's, and you know, and you get a lot of these people that hop on social media and they look great, but they're selling the fact that you can look like them. But I'm not going to say that it's 100% impossible, but it's highly unlikely that you'll look like that. And one, they're probably not even putting in the necessary work that you are trying to achieve what they have. Mm-hmm. It's just they were born that way. But I'm glad you brought up the point about like you thinking about you having body dysmorphia, because we have two sides of the spectrum. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people will see somebody of Jimmy's build and think, oh, he's healthy, or oh, you know, they might think that, or they might think, oh, you know, you're weak because you're skinnier, or you're you know, and like you were saying the other day, you know, people like, oh, you little or whatever, and you like, I probably weigh more than you.
Oh yeah, talking about some. Oh, you $140 soaking wet. I'm like, bro, I weigh more than you. What are you talking about?
Because when you taller, you have more weight. You know, like, and that's and bro, not just a twig. Like I seen some. He not no Chet Holmgren or nothing like that. Like, hey, you know, that's my team, but bro, little as hell.
Yeah, my leg's definitely a little bigger than Chet's.
But yeah, but I'm glad you brought that up, because there's two sides of the spectrum. There's because a lot of people think, like you were saying, they were telling you were good, but like you didn't think you were good.
Right. Even now.
Right.
Even now.
And that's what matters.
Like, what are you worried about? You good? I'm like,
no.
I'm like, true, but like, no, I still gotta be on point, because with the genetics thing, your genetics look good now, but at some point that starts to deteriorate. So really, if you develop those habits now, it'll prevent you from aging. You want to age gracefully. So for you to do that, you have to be on point with your fitness, and you don't even have to be a health nut. You just got to be aware and do the things necessary. And you know, your sleeping habits, your lifestyle habits, eating habits. If you knock all that down now, it'll help you age gracefully and obviously live a longer life, because that's what we all want to do, right?
I would hope so.
If you get on your P's and Q's, get tip top right now, it's a lot easier to do it while you have the energy to do so, because once that metabolism starts to decrease, you know, our energy decreases, we get lazy, and you're not going to want to do it now. I mean, then. So you might as well do it now. Right. Well, I sound like the Everest commercial.
Over. Well, maybe I'll go to school next year, maybe next semester. No, do it right now.
No, do it right now.
What y'all know about that?
But it's for real though. Like you gotta develop that now, and it's like you said, it's a journey. You're not gonna figure it all in one day.
No.
Like there's still stuff that I'm learning.
Me too.
That he's learning.
Yeah.
So it's a constant cycle. There may be days where you might receive, or you might regress, or you might not
Right.
get where you want to be.
It's gonna be days where you, all right, I'm gonna take a day off, or you know, I'm gonna rest. Like I'm not saying that you gotta just hit it hard 100% of the time, because only you know, like it's not sustainable. It's about sustainability. It's about accountability and sustainability. Because some that even I was watching a podcast and Kevin Hart was saying, you know, who are you fooling if you cheating yourself? If you cheating
Right.
and you trying to find shortcuts and you're not really putting in the work or whatever, you could fool everybody else, but you fooling yourself at the end of the day.
Exactly.
You cheating yourself at the end of the day. And that's what I was talking about with my fitness journey. I was cheating myself to an extent because I was working out all the time, but I wasn't eating right. I would work out just so I could eat bad and think, oh, that cancels out. No. At the bare minimum, it is calories in, calories out. So I was eating more calories than I was burning at the end of the day. I wasn't doing the cardio that I should have been doing, especially like Jimmy was saying, my goal was to lose the weight. You know, I had the muscle, I felt like. But I was cheating myself. And the thing is, I'm fooling other people because, oh, yeah, you're in the gym 24/7, or you look good to me, but I know to me I don't look good. I don't look where I want to be. So who am I fooling when I'm not doing that cardio? Who am I fooling when I'm working out twice a day, but I'm eating twice as bad?
Ooh,
like,
yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about. In this last year, I corrected, and just some other things that led to me eating like that, I corrected. So it's really just like Jimmy said, knowing yourself, and don't listen to what other people say, because can't nobody tell you who or what the best version of you is. Or can't nobody tell you how you're supposed to look, or what looks good to, or what's supposed to look good to you. Because at the end of the day, only you really know that. You know?
That's almost circling back to Fred VanVleet's quote. Like, you gotta believe in yourself. You gotta bet on yourself.
You gotta bet on yourself.
People gonna say what they want about you and how they think you should look or how you should feel, but you gotta know that for yourself, so that way their ideals don't influence you.
Right.
But I definitely think that that's definitely a good point to note with the fitness journey for sure. But let's chop it up on another tip. Dr. BOA. But no, you said that you had something that you wanted to introduce. No, you wanted to talk about men and the unrealistic standards that we have and how they are affected by it as well. Because I don't think it gets talked about that much.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, and look, I'm sure you guys might have something to say, but this is just how I view it. When we're talking about somebody that is really, you know, let's just take an example like a really fat guy and a really fat girl. Now, yes, the woman is probably going to get fat shamed, and she's going to get made fun of and whatnot. But I also think that she's going to get support, and I'm not going to use. I don't really want to use her, but Lizzo is a good example. She gets a lot of fat shaming and a lot of stuff around her, but at the same time she gets if not the same amount of support. Versus somebody that's really fat. I can't think of a name off the top of my head, but a fat guy, it's almost like that's okay. Society is okayed for a guy to be fat, and you all probably hearing this like, well, what's wrong? He's not getting no shame about it. But when you're not getting no shame, that's almost like no awareness towards it. So if you're not getting any awareness to the fact that you're 400, 500 pounds, and you might be somebody that has other things to rely on. You might have a lot of money. You might have a lot of connections or whatever. So you're not only is it getting ignored by society, it gets to the point where you become disillusioned with yourself. So now you're like, oh, well, it don't matter because I got $1 billion, or I got this property, I got this cars, I could buy whatever I want. But at the end of the day, you still got to come back home to yourself and look yourself in that mirror. And you know that it's hard for me to walk. It's hard for me to breathe. It's hard for me to get up in the morning. It's hard for me to do the things that I want to do. It's hard for me to wear the clothes I want to wear. You know that at the end of the day, and nobody's making a huge deal about it. So I feel like it's almost like a disadvantage as a man, because that stuff goes unchecked. And the longer it goes unchecked, the more likely, dire consequences will happen. And I just feel like with today's society, I don't really know what the answer would be to like combat that, but I just feel like people put too much emphasis on, looking a certain way or being a certain way. And I think that it's just sad because it's like, even like somebody like me, like, I'm not going to say I was the biggest guy. Like I was like super, super big, but I knew I actually didn't know. It wasn't until like one day where I like took my shirt off and looked in the mirror and I took a picture. I was like, man, like, and I still like have that picture. I'd be looking at it from time to time just as a reminder. But no, like I was saying, and I'm not saying it's your fault. It's nobody else's fault. But when I was that size, people was calling me swole.
Yep, I definitely was a prime culprit.
And it's like, I thought I was good. Like I literally thought, like the person I am today, like with my body, I thought I was that back then. I was disillusioned because there wasn't no awareness behind it. Nobody was keeping it a buck with me. Like, hey, bro, you look like your face is puffy. You got a little bit of a gut. Like, ooh. Like I wasn't saying like I was like on a ventilator or nothing, but I had some trouble breathing sometimes. I could even hear it in my voice. Like all the old YouTube videos, I could hear it in my voice. And it's like I was somebody that had really bad sinus problems. I had got surgery my senior year, and that's kind of like around the time when I started gaining a bunch of weight. And then in college, I really ballooned. But I didn't even realize that was probably the reason why I had so many issues like that. Because as soon as I started, like, I've never had, like, yeah, I have days here and there, like, when the pollen and stuff high or whatever.
Yeah.
But, like, my voice is, like, completely changed, like, my breathing, all that. Like, it all goes hand in hand. And that's just the fact, like, goes to the fact that I was disillusioned with myself. And I feel like, as a man, that's scary because what if it's too late? Like, what if you get to the point where it's too late? You 400, 500 pounds. And you thinking you good because ain't nobody keeping it a buck.
Right.
So, yes, I'm not going to say that I want people to get fat shamed or whatever, but at least you're getting aware. At least you know. So now you can make a difference. As a woman, you're gonna know because, and it sucks because society puts so much emphasis on women's looks.
Yes.
So from the jump, it don't even matter if you got a lot of money. It don't matter if you got cars, what do you look like? If you're a fat woman, they're going to tell you. You're going to know. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, a fat woman is probably more desirable than a fat man because they can pick, I don't really, like, unless you, as a man, and when you're fat, unless you have some money, unless you have, something to bring to the table, they're not messing with you. And I'm going to keep it a buck because so much emphasis is placed on women's looks. You could be a fat woman, but you have something that men want. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, I'm just being real.
Yup, you ain't lying on that one.
So that's just what I have to say about that. I don't really know how to combat that, but if you know people that's in your life and they're going through something, and you start to see changes, you start to see them looking differently or acting differently, speak up, man or woman, speak up. Because the thing is, they might already know. It's just, if ain't nobody bringing it to my attention, I'm going to keep moving how I'm moving.
That dang near combats the point that I was going to make for your answer. I feel like the answer is within ourselves because we definitely need that support system because we're not Superman. We're not heroes. No. We can't do everything. We can't burden everything. So we do need help to really open our eyes to certain issues that we are disillusioned to. But like, you also kind of have to make the effort to see that because a lot of people know that it's an issue, but they just disregard it. But then by the time they realize that it's an issue, it's far too late. So it's kind of has to go hand in hand. Like, you need that support system to help you, but it's also like you kind of have to want it bad enough yourself and to really be aware to do that. So, and to kind of piggyback off of what you said with your story and your like wake up call, my wake-up call happened when I had to have surgery for my right knee. So normally I don't really gain weight that easy, but what happened was after I found out that I had tore my ACL and both meniscuses, I really stopped caring about what I was eating because I knew that I was going to be bedridden for a minute. So right now I weigh like 170, I weigh 175, which is actually the same weight that I weighed in high school, but the difference is now it looks different. Like I was a lot more frail. I really didn't have muscle to it, but now I can say that 175 looks better on me than it did back then. But what happened was I stopped caring about what I was eating because I knew that I was going to be bedridden for the most part, with the exception of therapy. But when they weighed me in, they said your boy weighed 198. And this goes into the health and fitness. I would never thought you could get because I didn't look like it.
Right.
Like I didn't have a gut or nothing.
Right.
But best believe when I had to go through therapy, I definitely felt it. Like I was in there sweating like I was a pig. And it was not a pleasant feeling. That's when I realized that after I get my knee right and they had told me to work on it outside of therapy, once I got discharged, that I knew that it was bigger than the knee. I had to make a whole change within myself as far as my lifestyle habits and my fitness routine. So in a sense, I feel like this, I wouldn't call it a tragedy, but this inconvenience that came actually kind of helped me change my life around. Because once I hit 198, I said, yeah, man, something's got to change, because if I could gain all that weight that fast, if I'm not on my P's and Q's, then that means I could definitely balloon to more if I'm not, doing what's necessary. Because the thing is,
we're getting older. So I don't care who you are. Your metabolism is slowing down.
Yep.
So if you're not doing anything to, circumvent that, you're going to see some changes. You might not necessarily, like Jimmy's saying, see it physically yet. But you're gonna feel it.
Oh, definitely gonna feel it.
So I would have never thought you would get to. That's like almost 200 pounds.
Yeah, because like literally, I'm looking. I'm like, I didn't have no major gut or nothing.
Right.
But I looked at that scale. I'm like, damn. And now, but I couldn't feel it. But then once I started putting that work in, I was like, I definitely feel it now.
Yeah.
So I had to, I shedded it off with therapy, and then I continued, and then shortly after, I got back to my weight, which is a good thing. But that kind of goes back to our earlier point where, depending on your body type and your lifestyle habits, it may take longer for you to shed weight or reach your goal, but you have to stay consistent. Because to go into how I am right now, I'm not seeing like major results with like what I'm doing in the gym, but I definitely feel like I'm getting stronger every time I go.
And that's all that mattered. Harder than last time.
So
shout out to my boy Greg Doucette.
So the mirror, I won't say the mirror is deceiving, but sometimes the mirror can't show you everything that you have going on. Because your mirror might say, your scale, the mirror, all these things that show your appearance may say that you're not, reaching your goal.
Right.
But if you really think about it mentally or physically, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not seeing the results, but every time I'm in the gym, I'm definitely feeling it. And as I was going through therapy, and then once I really got more consistent, I was like, okay, don't even worry about the mirror right now. Just work on trying to get better every time in the gym. And I definitely feel like that's helped me continue to stay consistent.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Well, obviously, we're talking about, unrealistic beauty standards, so we might as well just dive deep into that. And like I was saying about earlier, when you're talking about social media, and I hate to just keep talking about women, but it has to be said.
Because, social media, and it's kind of our fault and society's fault, because a lot of that emphasis gets placed on women, which is why we end up talking about women so much.
Yeah.
Because they're like the trending topic or the main culprits of it all. So talking about unrealistic beauty standards, so when we're talking about like social media and women, not even just women, but fitness influencers, you just want to be wary of that, because
like I said, a lot of that has to do with genetics. I'm not finna say that everybody that's doing fitness on social media is not trained, because I do know actual trainers that are certified. They have certifications, they have experience, and they've been doing it for X amount of years. But not everybody's like that, and you get tricked into thinking that, oh, it's a one side, or it's a quick fix. If I do this workout like she's saying or he's saying, I can get this. But if you don't have the body type or the genetics to get that, then it's kind of unrealistic to be working towards that. Right. So, for example, obviously, as society has put a huge emphasis on being thick now as a girl, having a big butt and a small waist. Not only are girls out here getting cosmetic surgery to, literally get small weight, getting fat taken out their waist, getting it put in their butt, but you also have women that says, oh, you can do these workouts and it'll get you that. And I'm not saying that it won't, but depending on your body type, you might not look like whoever's telling you to do that.
Right.
Like those workouts is not going to get you that. Maybe eating a certain way will help you more than that, but you can't just think, oh, I'm going to get in the gym and I'm going to do these squats and I'm going to just get a big butt all of a sudden, when your body type is not like that.
Yep.
You got to know yourself, and you got to know, you got to be realistic with yourself. And then at the same time with men, trying to get a 6-pack. You might not be able to get a 6, 8-pack, 12-pack like some of these guys have.
Right.
They were naturally born like that. And I'm not saying, and just because you have or if you don't have a 6-pack, that don't mean you don't have a strong core. It's people that have a strong core and they don't have the packs, because the abs is still abs, even if you can't see them. Everybody got them.
Yeah, rectus abdominis.
So, it's just being realistic with yourself and trying to, pick and choose, what works for you and who works for you.
And I think what I notice is that, and what I like actually is, this is at no point, like, if you want to get cosmetic surgery, that is
right
on you.
Yeah,
we are not shaming that.
No, we're not shaming that.
But what I also like, and it kind of proves our point, where the females that decide to get cosmetic surgery, such as liposuction and more so BBLs, it doesn't just stop there. Right. Like, you have to maintain that somehow. So if you get a BBL, you have to go to the gym to maintain that. Otherwise, it's at risk of ended up looking like boo-boo when you're like in your 40s, because your body can't keep up with that. So.
Or your other body looks disproportionate around it because you're not working out. You're not working out them other body types.
So
other body parts.
So either way, it's a full circle. Like, yeah, you get your reward, but you got to maintain that somehow.
Right.
And if you don't do what's required, then you're gonna end up with crappy results after that.
And even with something like lipo, you have to lose a certain amount of weight to get that. If you're really big, and if you're really big and you want to get liposuction, and I know people that have done it, it's not like, oh, I can just go into the doctor and I can pay this X amount of dollars and I get it. No, they're gonna tell you need to lose this amount of weight, you need to be this amount of body fat percentage, be this healthy before we can do that, because otherwise, like you're saying, you're at risk of huge health risks, and that's to ensure that you're willing to maintain that. Because if somebody's putting in that amount of work to lose all that weight or whatever, you're assuming that they're going to try to at least do half of that when they get that surgery done. So like you're saying, it's all about maintenance, sustainability, like I was saying.
And I wanted to add this a little earlier when you were going on, but for males, a big figure that I like to reference to is DJ Khaled. Because DJ Khaled, he has, like, he was showing himself, doing his workouts on Snapchat. Point, and then also, he has a whole nutritionist, but it's been a couple years, and for the most part,
that man ain't look no different.
He still looks the same.
The exact same.
Now, it's no credit to him, because obviously we talked about with different body types, it might take a little longer to lose that weight. But we gotta look at it from this aspect. He's obviously, he's working out. And he has a nutritionist, so we could assume that he's eating somewhat okay. So then something within that equation, if we play algebra, the X somewhere is what's leading him to still be the same weight. So perhaps it might be lifestyle. So he may be doing all that, but his lifestyle may be filled with him constantly, drinking alcohol or maybe smoking, and that may be what's preventing him from getting those gains and stuff.
Right.
But it's beauty's only skin deep, so maybe he may not look like that, but for all we know, he might be feeling good inside.
Right, he might be feeling good. Yeah, he might. Everybody body type can hold a certain amount of weight or whatever, so he might be okay. But I'm gonna be real though. I'm glad you brought him up because that's when he was the stuff he doing is almost like how I was doing it. I was cheating myself. He's cheating himself. Let's keep it above. Because you got all this stuff, you was putting in all that work, yet you still look the same. Now I'm not saying that it was all for nothing. Right. It's just you're cheating yourself from probably what he actually hopes to gain from doing all that stuff.
Right.
So I'm glad you brought him up because that bro, he still do look the same.
I feel like he's worthy to bring up because he shows that even though he still looks the same, he's like an example of taking those necessary steps to possibly get better. Like, okay,
right. He at least is taking the steps.
Maybe I'm not eating the best. Let me get a nutritionist. Like, if you can't do it yourself, get somebody to help you do that for you. Or, boom, okay, I need to work out. Maybe I need somebody, or a lot of people I know have personal trainers. Maybe I need somebody to create a plan for me to do that. And then kind of to piggyback off of people think that it's quick, that you could do these things and it's a quick fix.
Nah.
I guarantee you once Rick Ross, shout out to all the pears, when he got that claim and he ate all the pears, which I'm sure wasn't the only thing he was doing. People was like, oh, if I eat pears, I'll be good. I'm like, no, you still got to put in some type of work.
There's no pill. There's no magic pill. There's no magic food that's going to just drop your weight or gain your weight. You have to put in the work one way or another. Hard work is inevitable. It's inescapable. It's like Thanos. It's common.
I'm dead. But social media, I feel like, just plays a huge influence on all this because, and I think that's the overarching theme of this episode, because we could tell you all this and you guys are probably going to see a post immediately after this one and be like, oh, but she looks like that. How do I get like that?
Right.
And fall into that trap. But what we're challenging you to do is we want you to, okay, they look like that, but what do they do to get that? What are they dealing with besides that?
And then
are their genetics looking good?
On top of that, it's not all about fitness and stuff.
Man.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Like, social media has made it to where you, as a man, you got to be fit. You got to be, tall. You got to be something that you can't control. Like, some of these things is things that are out of your control. I can't control how tall I am.
Right.
I can't control whether I can grow a beard or not. Like, yes, you can do things to enhance or help, but I can't control certain things. I can't control whether my hair, falls out, or whatever. And see, Jimmy is somebody like, and I'm going to let you tell it, but I remember when Jimmy first, was going, he's losing a little hair or whatever.
I was insecure about it. I was very insecure, not gonna lie, at first, because it was really in high school when I realized that it was bound to happen. I remember I used to tease my uncle about being bald because when he had came back, he was like 23, 24, which is pretty young to be losing your hair. So I used to be teasing him because I was like going into high school thinking that it was a game, but he was like, you finna get there soon. And it was literally, it was in my face because he's bald and my dad was bald. So I should have known like that it was gonna happen pretty soon. Right. But I teased him thinking that it was a game. But in high school, I realized it happened because I cut my hair because I had a bunch of curls. Probably believe I'm lying, but had a bunch of curls, but my hair wasn't growing back as fast. So I'm going through college and I was determined I'm finna make it all through college without having to go bald. But I knew that wasn't gonna happen, so I shaved it bald. And throughout like the first I would say like 4 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a 4 or 5 month process where I cut it bald, but I was constantly like really questioning my decisions. So instead of rocking it natural like, you know, I normally would, I was trying to wear a hat to every place that I was going because I was scared of what people would think of me. But then like as like the beard grew, and that's thanks to Simple Beard Necessities, I kind of felt more confident in myself, and then realizing that, I mean, at some point I'm gonna be bald, so I might as well, you know, just be confident with it now rather than later. So that's a great point that you mentioned for sure. Which year?
Yeah, that year. It's like a string. No, it's like literally on the back, like on your hat almost. It's like a string. No, reach back more. Yep.
Oh, there we go.
Bet. I got him.
Trickle.
But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like some of this stuff is out of your control. Mm-hmm. So get comfortable with who you are. Get comfortable with, you know, who you want to be too. You know, control what you can control. That's what I'm realizing.
And I think another thing, now it may be unrelated, but I think it kind of relates too, is that society has also got us believing that we gotta have, like, the person that we want to be with has to be a 10, has to be a baddie,
or else they're no good.
Mm-hmm. And I remember our homie or whatever, he said that a 10 doesn't exist. And now that, you know, we're getting older, I'm like, he's kind of right.
It don't.
He's definitely right, because not everybody's perfect. They have their own flaws.
And looks fade.
Mm-hmm.
There's people, you know, of course, like, yes, when you're young like this, it's going to be people that look better than others. But it's people that, those same people that look good, like, you know, especially high school, people be peaking. Well, you know, people you thought once looked good, they don't look good. And that might have a lot to do with their genetics, or that might have a lot to do with them just not taking care of themselves.
Yeah.
But either way, one way or another, when you're 90, you're not going to look like how you used to look. You're not going to have a big butt. You're not going to have them big old breasts or whatever. You're not going to have that six pack, them big old arms. Like, it's going to fade eventually. Mm-hmm. So if that's all you're putting stock into when you're trying to, like, meet people or pick people or you know, value people, then you're going to be let down at one point or another. So y'all might as well just, you know, I'm not saying that it don't mean nothing, but you can't put all your faith into that or all your value into that on who a person is or how good of a person they are.
That's why I always be telling you and the rest of my friends that you could have a girl that looks fantastic, like they are the most beautiful girl in the world, but if everything else is on the downfall, like they got a crappy personality or they have no substance, you know, they're not driven at all, then I don't want you. Mm-mm. Or to say on the flip side, you can have a girl.
That's stuff you can control.
Exactly. Or there's like, say there's a girl, I'm not going to say she ugly, but she's like, you know, she's cute, you know, she's decent, you know, she's not as attractive as most, but her personality is fantastic, or she's goal driven. I'm going to go with that one because that's something that I could work with for the long run.
Right.
Even if those looks fade. I know that she's a beautiful person
that's not
inside.
Fading, yeah.
And I'm willing to deal more with that because the outside beauty, that's going to fade. But the inside beauty, it doesn't sway as much. So I'm going to rock with that. Take my chances.
There's no warranty on the outside appearance. But it's a warranty on what's inside.
I've never heard that. Look,
I just made it up.
Right. Put that in the corner.
But yeah, I mean, I think we hit most of everything. I just want you guys, if you take away anything from this episode, I just want you guys to know that 2 things that you have to think about when you're thinking about yourself and whatever it is you're trying to do is accountability and sustainability. Especially when you're talking about your health, when you're talking about fitness, when you're talking about, you know, your outside appearance, your inside appearance. Because only you really know what works for you and what kind of work you're putting in to get there or what kind of work you're not putting in to get there. And then at the same time, whatever it is you want, you have to sustain, you know, the process to get there. Something that I had tweeted the other day was, and I don't know what this, you know when it's like this over then.
On math, yeah.
Yeah. What is that called, bro? I sound slow, but what is that called? I know it's like over then. Like
Yeah, progress over.
Yeah,
That was a tweet you had,
yeah.
right?
The tweet was progress over process,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm basically like. You fall in love with the progress or fall in love with the process. That's what I'm saying. Process over progress. I'm sorry.
My bad. I flipped it. That was my fault.
Fall in love with the process because the progress it can come and go, and the progress, you know, you're never gonna get to a point where you're gonna be satisfied for the most part. Like, you know, so if you fall in love with the progress or the process, you're gonna keep putting in that work. You're gonna keep wanting to do that. You're gonna keep waking up and enjoying that, and then you're gonna look up and you would have made significant amount of progress.
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to say as far as sustainability goes. If you're able to find something that works for you with whatever goal you're trying to chase, and it's something that you feel like you can do and every day, and you know it's fun for you to do, it's easier for you to do. Not to say that it's too easy, because you do want to challenge yourself.
Definitely.
But you want something that you can keep doing, because if it's something that's too hard, what's the chances that you're going to be able to do that all the time and repeat that and steady do? You're not, at some point you're going to give out.
Right.
You're going to give up. Or if it's too easy, and you know, at some point you're going to be like, all right, well, you know, what's the point of doing this? It's too easy.
Right.
You know, it's no challenge in that. So it's really just about finding what works for you, and like Jimmy said, knowing yourself.
Not to be a stickler, because I'm far from a mathematics whiz or geek, but it's greater than, less than,
Greater
equal
than, that's
to.
what it was. I know I was going to sound slow.
But to kind of piggyback off what he was saying, a thing to realize, and this is not to use it as a scapegoat, but it's something to kind of keep you at bay, to keep your mental health at bay, is that everybody operates on different timelines. And I think
everybody's timing is different.
And I think a good example of that was you were talking about on the physical aspect. A lot of people's looks peak in high school, and that's okay, because sometimes we can't control that.
Right.
But after high school, when them genetics, you know, then the genetics start to lose less importance. What are you doing after that? But also, I kind of look at it as a sense of everybody gets kind of what's the word I'm thinking? They get kind of defeated because, for example, they see somebody, you know, looking all good, but like you're just starting out. Well, that person may have put in 2-3 years worth of work to get there. You don't know that. You see that, and a lot of times we don't think about process. We think that's what we're seeing now, recency bias.
Yep.
Or like, for instance, like in my case, and something that I had to deal with after we graduated was where I wanted to start grad school right away, but due to, you know, me not holding myself accountable and not putting in the work, people are already graduating, you know, from college early, or even getting their masters while I was still lying dormant trying to get into grad school. So, but now that I'm starting grad school, I look back and say that, yes, I would have started early, but I'm also glad that I didn't kind of defeat myself on that, because I know that
it's on your own timing.
It's on my own timing, and I'm still going to accomplish my goal. It's just a little later than I wanted to. And I'm going to make the best of, and I try to make the best of that dormant time to better myself, so that way when I go into it, it's dang near, like it's better, like this time was the better time for me than if I had started at that time.
Yeah. Not everything is meant for everyone, and not everything is meant for everyone at, you know, a certain time, you know. So that's all that was. Well, I think that's going to deal it.
Yep. So
Deal it.
DWAF, we out. Peace.